So this right here is one of the most contradictory iPhones made to date. On one side, it's trying to appeal to the general consumer by providing a very competitive price tag by Apple standards anyway. But on the other side, it's also trying to compete with Apple's latest iPhone 13 Pro flagship phone by providing some really cutting edge technical specifications, but by making some really odd compromises. Today we're going to see if this phone is what Apple wanted it to be, or if their priorities are a little questionable with the latest iteration of the iPhone SE. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, hit the like button, sub to my channel. Thanks for watching. Let's go. As far as the packaging goes, Apple continues to use the same low profile box that we've seen with some of the more recent new iPhones. So over here you have a graphical image of the iPhone itself, and you'll notice it has this red tint because this is the product red variant. Now you'll also notice the side of the box is very slim or petite, if you will. Again, this is because there's no charging adapter in the box, but it does look nice at least. Now on the back side of the box, you'll notice you have all the technical specifications about what's going on, which model this is, how much memory you have, and you also notice you have these two individual pull tabs. No more plastic wrapping. Apple's gone green. I personally love it. So once you remove both of these tabs, the box slides right open. Inside here it is, the iPhone SE. Look familiar? Well, it's been used for multiple generations design-wise, so of course it looks familiar. You'll also notice it comes with a plastic wrap as opposed to the paperback one you find on some of the more premium iPhones. Putting that aside though, and we'll come back to it in a minute, we also have the Lightning to USB-C cable. So this is of course to charge your actual phone. And past that, you have the classic paperback pouch that says Made in California. Inside here, you'll find the instruction manual, quick start guide, SIM ejection tool, as well as regulation and various other information, and also the classic Apple sticker. Design-wise, the iPhone SE continues to look more or less the same as the previous iPhone SE, the iPhone 8, the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6s, and the iPhone 6 before it. And the iPhone 6 came out way back in September 2014. So this has to be the most recycled design of all time. There's an award in a bad way, Apple would win it for this design. Now, don't get me wrong. The iPhone still looks sleek. So you have a nice seamless glass finish on the front side. But then you have these massive bezels that look dated and aren't offered by any other competitor at this price point. And of course, it can be justified by saying, hey, you need the Touch ID sensor to be hosted here. Sure, that's great. But same with the top side. This design just looks dated in every way possible. Now, to be fair, when you get to the side of the iPhone, that red tint looks absolutely gorgeous. So on one side, of course, you have the mute switch and the volume rocker, and the other side has the power button, which is slightly smaller than the original designs, and also you have the SIM ejection tool, or sorry, the SIM ejection tray, if you will. Now, the bottom side of the iPhone continues to be the same, more or less like other phones. So you have the speakers, the mic, and of course, in the dead center, you have the Lightning port. I'm not going to give them a hard time over not having USB-C, given that their more expensive phones don't either. When you get to the back side of the phone, now you could argue this still looks like a very premium phone. So you have a nice seamless glass surface finish, and that red tint again looks absolutely amazing. Apple nails their colors. I'll give them that much for sure. You have a reflective Apple logo, and then you have a single lens setup on the top side, so you don't get the multi-lens treatment you do with some of the higher end phones. Makes sense. At this point, you're like, okay, well, if everything's the same, then why would I want to get this? Well, there are some differences, but almost all of them are under the hood. So technically speaking, this iPhone literally rivals the iPhone 13 Pro in sheer performance because it has the exact same A15 chip that you find on that version of the iPhone, which basically means whether it's day-to-day apps or just web browsing on your phone or actually gaming, it's going to work as good as it would on that iPhone. So performance is going to be top notch. On top of that, by using the latest chip, this phone is set to get years and years worth of iOS updates. So long after most rival phones are pretty much dead bricks, your iPhone SE will still be getting updates for iOS, which is of course great. Now, you'll also notice that you do have 5G compatibility with this phone, so that brings it up to par with a lot of the competition, so you'll have snappy fast data speeds. The 2022 iPhone SE definitely improves battery life. So it has a 2018 milliamp battery, which is definitely larger than the previous iPhone SE. So we found in our test with mixed usage, including gaming, gaming, listening to music, watching YouTube videos, and just browsing the web, we were able to get just around 8 hours on a single charge, which is pretty impressive. It's approximately 2 hours more than the previous iPhone SE. Not just that though, Apple claims with continuous video playback, you can get up to 15 hours on a single charge. I have yet to test that, but that's pretty impressive for a phone of this size. It's very efficient, no doubt. The iPhone SE has some pretty decent cameras on board. So the front-facing camera is a 7 megapixel 2.2 aperture camera. It does great in capturing well-lit settings, so if you have a lot of daylight or just lighting in general, you'll get some great images. Unfortunately, it does struggle a little bit in lower light settings because it doesn't have official night mode support. You also have the ability to record at 1080p all the way up to 30 frames per second, which is decent. Now, when you go to the backside, it's unfortunately a single lens setup, but that one camera is pretty good for what it is. It's a 12 megapixel wide lens camera with a 1.8 aperture, and despite the fact that you don't have night mode support, both well lit settings and low light settings are actually pretty decent. Like some of the darker images actually came out better than I expected them to be, which of course is a welcome addition. Also, you can record up to 4K 60 frames per second, and not that choppy, choppy, laggy experience you'd find on other, phones or cameras. It's a smooth experience and it produces some pretty decent video quality. Today's video is in partnership with AceFast. Are you looking for a 3-in-1 charger that has MagSafe compatibility? Well, look no further. AceFast provides a high quality design which allows you to connect any MagSafe compatible iPhone directly onto the charger and has up to 3 unique wireless charging ports. So you have one for the MagSafe, you have one at the bottom which you can charge your headphones or even another phone, and you also have a unique smartwatch charger which can be used with your Apple Watch. Pretty cool stuff. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, the display has to be the most disappointing aspect of this phone by far. This is literally the exact same display ratio we've been seeing again since the iPhone 6. Apple has not changed a single thing except for the fact that it's a little bit brighter at 625 nits. Look, I don't have a problem with the technical specifications of the display. We've seen how well Apple does. My problem is that they could have easily incorporated a liquid retina display that they have on the iPhone XR and, refresh the experience. They can do that because we've seen that with the iPhone mini, and they could have definitely compromised on, let's say, the A15 chip, included an A14 chip instead, because that's overkill, let's be honest. Most people buying this phone don't want pro-level performance, they want entry-level access to iOS and all these services it offers. So they could have compromised there and instead opted to give you, again, a larger display. It's just disappointing because Apple's been recycling this for like 6 generations now. It's to the point where it's like you really could have provided a better experience. For a company that always focuses on user experience over technicality, Apple kind of failed in both regards to the display here. It's not technically impressive, but it's also not what I consider a user invigorating experience. It's just like they've given up on this display and they're just going to recycle it as many times as they can. So I cannot in good conscience endorse this display. It's outdated, it looks small, and if elderly people are looking at it, it's a little too small for their eyes as well. So come on, Apple, you could have included a larger display here. So here's the verdict, guys. At $429 USD, the iPhone SE still continues to be a relatively budget-friendly iPhone. But at the same time, it's just not one that I feel justifies any sort of upgrade and arguably might be even a poor value to come into. At that price point, a lot of the competition just offers a all-around better experience, whether it's in the form of more wholesome displays or, better looking designs or more features. Now, I know, again, Apple is not a technical specification based company. They're a company that emphasizes user experience, but they just don't deliver that with this phone. This is the most recycled product we've seen, well, pretty much since the iPhone lineup. Apple continues the same design. They don't seem interested in providing any sort of unique experience with this phone. It is what it is, and Apple just doesn't want to entertain it. They just keep slapping newer technical specifications and they call it a day, which is very un-Apple-like, honestly speaking. Now, with that said, the few redeeming qualities of the phone include its impressive battery life, the fact that it has cutting-edge performance, and you're going to get iOS updates for years to come thanks to that cutting-edge performance. So again, from a software perspective, it's great. And if you're someone who just wants access to Apple's entirely massive lineup of their ecosystem, well, this phone gives you a gateway to enter that world at a relatively low price point. It's also worth noting there are a few other hidden features, like the fact that this phone is fully water and dust resistant, which is great great to take it in the shower with you. You know, you've got those kind of cool things going on. But again, there's nothing about this phone that just stands out as a good update or upgrade. If you're coming from a new iPhone, sorry, if the older iPhone SE, you may want to consider other iPhones or maybe even other phones in general. It really does put a heavy heart on me when Apple ignores the user experience because that's what they're all about. Other than that though, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, hit that like button, sub to my channel. Let me know what you think of the new iPhone SE. Catch you in the next one.